Kia ora, welcome back once again. Here with another reaction, this time doing a reaction with Mr. Big Phil Campion interviewing another former colleague of his, Mr. Melvyn Downes, former 22 SAS Sergeant Major, Mel Downes. So let's jump in.
It's been something like 42 years of either being in the British military, being in the Special Forces, SAS, or training other Special Forces. I'll be the first out and you follow me. But if I come back and make it back, if anybody hasn't followed me, you're going to get mad full wrath. You're watching tanks fire at other tanks. The guys were writing all the death letters, but then one of them then fired an RPG. I was actually born in 1964. And my dad, he was from Jamaica. I did actually suffer an awful lot of bullying. What happens in childhood, you're always remembered. But I used to be that scared, I'd be actually banging on people's doors. They used to buy me these little soldiers, little plastic soldiers. From then, I was just fascinated with military. I wanted to go in the cadets. So when I left the Army Cadets at 16 years old, I was straight in the Army. I decided I wanted to go to the SAS. It was basically David Sterling stuff. You were behind enemy lines. You know, this is really, really serious. That's why the British military, we're the best military in the world, and we're the best special forces, because 90% of us are all from just council estate kids.
You're one of the guys I looked up to in the squadron, without a doubt. I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart.
That's cool to hear. So I didn't realise that's a bit of an intro. I should have done a recce first and done a little bit more homework. Sorry about that. But it's cool to see Mel. We were both working for the same private security company for pilgrims in and out of the Middle East, or travelling in and out of Baghdad. I think he might have been on the CBS or 60-minute contract, one of those. But I crossed paths with him because I was working on a separate contract, but we would go in and out of where the contract that he was on and that he was looking after. He was working with a bunch of other former badge Kiwi SAS guys and other British SAS operators, and the contract that I was on, I was lucky enough to work with, again, ex-22 guys and ex-Kiwi guys. And he still looks the same. He still doesn't look like he's aged. Like, he's just must be good genetics. Mel, bloody legend. I remember there's some funny comments. If I remember rightly, I think one of the guys in our team, Des Powell Bravo 30, another great man, ex-22 lad, and I think ex-Para Regiment as well. I think he used to hassle Mel, or somebody used to anyway, was hassling Mel, saying nothing good ever come from Stoke, or whatever, you know, there's nothing good about Stoke, or something like that, something along those lines anyway, just them having jibes at each other. I wouldn't know, I wouldn't have a clue. But I remember Mel used to always say, what I remember him constantly saying when things like that would be said to him is he would say, well, Robbie Williams comes from Stoke. And I wasn't really, probably still not, to be fair, but I do like the way Robbie Williams tells stories. But I wasn't a Robbie Williams follower, or still not, in terms of the genre of music and what he does. But he's a phenomenal performer, artist, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, Mel used to use that one all the time. I'm pretty sure that's what he used to say. That's if he's from Stoke. But yeah, it's just great to see him. Doesn't look like he's aged at all. So that's a compliment to you, Mel. Like, and whatever it is that you're doing, keep at it, brother. So it's good to see him here. Good to hear him speaking, and interested to see how this interview goes and what they talk about. Interesting there, hearing, you know, obviously people are going to have their biases in regards to their beliefs, their firmly held beliefs, because he's lived it, right? He's lived a heck of a long time within the UK Special Forces. Come up through the ranks. He's worked with and seen a whole bunch of the other Special Forces and that around the world. So, yeah, respect to him for his patriotism, for his thought process, and where he sees their unit. Like everybody knows, they are the founding fathers of the SAS, of the Special Air Service, with regards to New Zealand and Australia following suit. I'm not sure how or where, but I'm assuming the Rhodesian, there was a Rhodesian SAS. I'm not sure if there still is. I don't think so. But the Rhodesian SAS was around as well. And from what I understand, in America, Delta but they observed and saw the British SAS selection process, that 6-month process, and they took that, and I believe they've molded theirs or modeled theirs on the Delta Force selection for over in the States. So a lot to be said for the trail that UKSF has blazed for and has given birth to other highly skilled Tier 1 SF units around the world. And just what a legacy for the UK military and UKSF to know that they basically grandfather the other units that have come after them. So yeah, pretty awesome actually.
This week on the debrief, then, I've got with me an old friend, a guy who I consider myself fortunate to have served with. He is the bloke from Stoke, all right? He's Mel Downes. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well, mate. How are you doing? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, isn't it? It's years ago, probably 2001 since we last.
Yeah, that's what we just said.
Since we last sat there and had a chat.
But
Wow, 2001 since they last sat down and had a chat. I would have seen Mel and had a few interactions. I don't think we went out on any tasks together. I think we were literally there. We brought some of the crew that we were looking after to where Mel and his team were, and then we left. But I got exposure to Mel a few times there, and then same when they'd come over to our area and bring their clients, have a bit of a hot brew or a drink and a chinwag, and just seemed like a really awesome guy, very, very genuine guy. But hearing that they, it's been 2001. Sorry, I should have had a look to see when this interview was done. But that's a heck of a long time. So it would have been, sorry, did I say the year? Would have been probably 2008, maybe 2009, when I saw or last had interactions with Mr. Mel Downes.
It's like ex-military people. You can be away for
just pick up.
Just
pick up straight away.
To me, it seems like just the other day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You've gone a bit grayer.
A little bit more around there.
You've had a few more nappy pies, but hey, no. On a serious note, I've been seeing you from afar.
Yeah,
and you've lost a lot of weight. You've
last year I did lose quite a bit. It's creeping on this year. I need another announce another fight or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I need something to go for. But yeah, I will be. I'm going for it.
But you're still smashing the fitness, aren't you?
Love it. I do love it. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah. So listen, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you back to your childhood. We're going to find out. I just want to learn more about Mel. And I will learn things.
You know a lot about me already.
I do know a fair bit about you.
But what happens there stays there, eh?
Yeah, you know that. Right, so let's go back. Young Mel, you're from Stoke.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a proud Stokie.
Okay, so he is from Stoke, the bloke from Stoke. And so that must have been one of the comments that he shared. Robbie Williams is from Stoke, whatever that means, I guess, in terms of somebody being famous and being in that or from that area. So let's
talk about your bringing up. How was your upbringing?
Well, this is it. I grew up in a different part of life, different era, just like you in the 60s. I was actually born in 1964. Okay, and my dad, he was from Jamaica. He was from the original Rimrush era.
Okay, so he was on one of those big ships that came over.
Yeah, he came across in 52. Where volunteered to come across. This was the motherland, and all the rest of it. But instead of settling in London and the main places, he came straight to Stoke because he wanted to get. He was getting on the pits, going to be a miner.
Okay,
and then he met my mum there, who's from Stoke, and she's white. And back in them days, it was really, really racist.
It was, wasn't it? It was. There was this. You hear about this stuff, don't you? But it's never affected me, obviously. But it's in the day. It must have been quite a bit of finger pointing and curtain twitching and all that sort of stuff going on.
People, I know race seems to be a massive issue now and problems and so on. And I look at it now and I'm like, wow, this is nothing. It's like going back a different century how it used to be. You're going back a few decades now. It's brilliant. Yeah, there's still problems. There's problems everywhere with different parts of life, whether it's race, religion, class, you name it.
Yeah.
But looking back then, it was quite brutal when you think about it, because we actually settled in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
And it was in an area called Bentley. And Bentley at the time was the largest council housing estate, not just in Great Britain, in Europe.
Really?
It was massive, mate.
Huge.
Because I've actually Googled it, and it was something like 11,000 people. And it was mainly working class miners and white working class. For instance, when I was there, I only knew less than a handful of people of colour, on that estate. And I was the only mixed race kid. Well, one other mixed race kid I knew. And because of that, back then, you can imagine it was like...
Did you get any grief?
Oh, I got loads of grief growing up, starting school. It was just horrendous. Literally. It was... You talk about bullying and fighting. I was fighting every day.
How did you deal with it? Because, look, knowing you now, I know that you ain't the keys in the backs down, are you? Do you know what I mean? So, were you like that as a kid? Someone gives you an old... And you're like, I'll tell you what, we'll have some of that.
Yeah, because of what? I was like that.
I love the way Phil's come in there and just not changed the text, but delved into how Mel dealt with that, like racism, right? Crazy time. White mum, dad's from Jamaica, come over to work. He refers to it as the pits. So in the mining sector, that must have been a harsh, brutal time. And I think you mentioned something around about 11,000 or so working class people of colour and white people. I don't know if that was combined or sort of 11,000 each. I missed that piece. But given that time, and more than likely the strong differences of opinion in regards to people of colour and people that were fair, that were white, it must not have been easy. And then just hearing him, loving the way that Phil sort of segued into that. How did you deal with that? Because obviously Phil knows him, and it sounds like Mel Downes is not the sort of person that's going to back down from a bit of a challenge. So yeah, it's but that is sad, eh? It's sad that happened then. It's sad that it still happens now to a degree in many places. I'm glad I haven't really witnessed it, and I've never really I don't think I've ever been a recipient of any type of racism towards me. Maybe there has been behind my back, but I can't recall of any times where I've physically been confronted with it and had to make some decisions in that moment. So yeah, it is, it's a heavy one, for people that have to go through that and that experience that. They shouldn't need to, but I guess that's some of the naivety and the immaturity of the state of potentially many people around the place that think that is still the right thing to do.
My dad always taught me to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. Of course.
But looking back then, though, I did actually suffer an awful lot of bullying.
Yeah.
Because even though you can stand up for yourself, when you're a 5-6-year-old just starting school, you can stand up to yourself against kids the same age.
Yeah.
But when these kids are older than you and other people, this was a different time. And I always... Things what stay in your mind, and as you know, Phil, because I know from your experience, what happens in childhood, you always remember, and it comes back to you.
Of course it does, yeah.
And
it's your foundation, isn't it? It's your foundation. It's your building block.
Me and my brother, we never really talked about it much till recently, till my mum died. Literally, that was last year. And there's so much we've got in common, because my brother, he's a few years older than me, but he actually went to a different school and so on. And we actually started talking about what happened to us and remembering some of the memories, what we sort of blanked out. As two little mixed race kids walking on the estate and getting chased by guys who were just digging the garden, calling us all names with shovels. We thought they were going to kill us and bury us. They were doing it for a laugh, like, but there you go. But to me, it was a case of back then. It was just because we moved into an house on Bentley, and people at the same time on the street, they were putting in a petition. One of the neighbours they didn't want us there because he was having a black guy there. Yeah, serious. And it was a case of we got our house burgled, and they left all... I can remember this as a young kid, because it was on Christmas Eve, coming back, and there was all Nazi signs and all this, and the M-word all written over the walls. So it was all that. But to me, getting called the M-word was a daily... That was nothing. That was water off the duck's back.
Yeah, not like even that. Just...
But it was the actual... Sometimes there'd be adults even giving abuse. Say my dad would come pick up myself from school because he was on the pits. So different, if he had the day off, now and again he'd come pick me up.
Yeah.
And I can always remember him taking me home by my hand, walking, and people on the buses coming by and putting their heads out the windows. And it wasn't just kids, some adults. And, a guy on a bike driving by, and riding by, and then spitting at him. And then when my mum was with us both, calling her lots of names. It really was. It was brutal.
I mean, in one respect, if there's any positive to be taken from that, we have moved forward slightly, haven't we?
Oh, God
It's
almighty.
still not gone, but we've moved forward a bit, haven't we?
That's what I'm saying. It seems to be I'm knocking the place, but I'm saying that was just a total different tier. And when I say the place, looking back on it, this is a very minute number of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's cool to hear Mel talk about that. And again, also Big Phil acknowledging that they've come a long way. And I think that's, worldwide. I like to think that anyway. As I mentioned, I don't recall ever being physically or verbally confronted with any of that other than from my own mates, and we're just having a laugh and calling each other silly names. But yeah, man, it's sad to hear, the dads come by, pick them up, they're walking home, and you got adults. Monkey see, monkey do, eh? Children see the adults do that. That flows into that next generation, and so on and so on and so on. It's a cruel, vicious cycle, and it's sad to hear when that happens. But I'm grateful that there's been changes and we've progressed from some of those times. But anyway, it is a bit late, so I'm going to cut this one a bit shorter. Definitely lots to cover off on here. This is a bit shorter than the other ones that I've got, so I'll be chipping away at this one as well. Still got the other ones, haven't forgotten about them. Haven't forgotten about the Christian Craigheads, the Kyle Morgans, the DJ Shipleys. Like, I'll still get through those. I've been hesitant to sort of step into other reactions at this stage just because I hadn't finished those. But I think I'm slowly sort of getting the hang of it. And I feel comfortable enough to delve into some other reactions. And so here's a start of Mr. Mel Downes here with Big Phil Campion on the, what was this? I forget the name of what this is anyway, or his, apart from Force Radio or Force TV, but there was another name for this particular channel or this process, how he does his interviews. But anyway, good to be here. Thank yous for being here. Thank you for your support. Appreciate you if you've joined up in the memberships. Genuinely appreciate you. For now, as I mentioned with the earlier video that I posted in and around, probably still keep doing things as they are. But just so that you know, going forward, once those memberships kick into full swing, there will be 2 normal free reactions that go up each week on the main free channel. There will be 3 in terms of the first tier, first level reactions that will be available, and then 5, and then a whole bunch of other stuff in terms of members only content for those that want to join in the membership space, all with the intention of trying to add more value, to bring more value to you, the viewers, and hopefully be able to utilize some of those people that might take the time to invest with a monthly fee, and they can opt out any time, to be able to create and generate better content, more engaging content, and build a closer connection with the community that I'm fortunate to be a part of. So thank you once again very much for your support. I appreciate it. Anybody, as always, going through any challenges, difficulties, struggles, trials, man, just encourage you to keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Know that there are better days ahead, that the sun will shine again, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So, as always, remember, go always a little further. Who dares wins. And until the next video, a big man away from me to you with my aroha, respect and appreciation.